Hi, it's me again, and I'm wearing a shirt designed by Antonio Clark. You can find him on Instagram and on Facebook. Um, and it's Kaepernick kneeling with the Statue of Liberty. So I figured I'd do a quick video because I should do one. It's been a couple of days since you saw the last one from me. So I'm going to read, like last time, one poem from each book, and I'm going to give you a little bit backstory to it. So the first one I'm going to start with is from my first book, Black Man, Black Woman, Black Child, in which I again explore what it means to be black from those perspectives. And I figured this is the right poem to read given the shirt that I'm currently wearing. And so I'm reading the poems that I won't read in performance because this just gives you an opportunity to hear what's in my book. But these are not poems that are actually stage worthy. I'm a poet who can perform. So these are the poems that I wrote, but they're not necessarily performing poems. Blue and red. It doesn't matter if he wears a bow tie or a baseball cap, if he holds a PhD or a GED, if he's a minister or a hustler. It doesn't matter whether he lives in a mansion or the projects, or if he drives a Bentley or a hoopty. He will always be victim to a fear only his brown brothers know. He will constantly live in a fight or flight existence. No matter if it's the Queen's English or slang he communicates with, the result can always be the same. The wrong look, the wrong words, the slightest threatening gesture can cause him to lose his life when summoned by blue and red lights. And I just think, so I don't know that I wrote this, I think, for this book actually. And this book came out in 2015, so I don't remember every piece of it already because there's been so much more writing. But I mean, that's the whole point of why Kaepernick was kneeling, right? Kaepernick kneeled, and I'm wondering, see, you can see the whole image there. Kaepernick kneeled for this reason, because we get stopped at an exponential different rate, whether it's being stopped and frisked, whether it's being pulled over while driving. If your skin is black and you're breathing, if you're sitting in your school lounge, if you're barbecuing, if you were doing any of those type of offenses, the odds are good that someone's going to be offended by your existence and then call the police. So I think it was just important to discuss or highlight that experience for people, either for black men so that they know they're not alone, or for people who are not black to understand that that's part of the reality we face. And it's actually in the black man section of the book with 3 different pictures, 2 of which I drew, 1 of which my dad drew. You can probably guess which one that was. So that was from Black Man, Black Woman, Black Child. And then I'm going to switch to Casualty of Love. And I'm reading this one because I usually don't read my poems that are poetic forms. But if you get these books, and if you haven't caught them yet, in each book there's some different forms happening. So I write a lot about, I use a lot of different, usually rhyming forms, because I enjoy them. I find them a little bit easier than some of the other forms. And this is A New Love's Rondelay. So this is a rondelay poetic form. And I'm reading that from Casualty of Love. And I think this is in the butterfly section. Oh, the desire section. So, A New Love's Rondelay. You are confused by the tempting passion, the mind's debating the fate of the heart, contemplating the soul's next action. Do you bond as one, or now do you part? While your body ignites from love's reaction, losing yourself in love's majestic art. You are contemplating the soul's next action. Should you bond as one, or now do you part? But you are high on the romantic distraction, forgetting hearts burst when shot with a dart. Your body's igniting from love's reaction, quickly submerging yourself in love's new art. You're intoxicated from the romantic distractions, forgetting clouds rain when shot with a dart. Will you give in to the blissful satisfaction, though the taste it will leave is bitter and tart? Your body is set aflame from love's reaction, and you drown yourself in love's masterful art. Will you submit to the blissful satisfaction, ignoring the taste that will be bitter and tart? No. The feeling of love you choose to ration, knowing this relationship you cannot start, though your soul's ignited from love's reaction, and you lost yourself in love's chaotic art. So I just enjoy rondelays. I enjoy a lot of these rhyming forms. The rules, if you didn't catch it, is that it spins on the same two sounds: passion, action, that shun sound, and then art, heart, part. So you're, in theory, using this, maybe not the same words, but you're doing the same rhyme. They fall in a certain scheme. It's like a A, B, A, B, A, B, and it's a 6-line poetic form. I'd have to look it up really to tell you what a rondelay is, but that's what I'm picking up just from reading this. But there are actually, in each book, there's different forms. I think 2X Chromosomes with the Extra Shot of Melanin has the least amount of poetic forms, but it does have haikus in there. This one has the rondelay. I know the first book has a pantun, and a couple of other things in there too. And then there's some other things that I do in these books. But see, and I do different like visual types of poems, which I may read this to you guys another day. So it's not all free verse poems. It's actually a lot of like skill and technique. Not saying that you didn't think there was, but there's a lot of different crafts informing my different poems. Whether it's a spatial one, whether it's established poetic forms, whether it's other poets, and visual cues. So that's Casualty of Love, the poetic journey from butterflies to broken back. So there's a lot of like fun things about love in here, and then a lot of not so fun things. So I think my next video probably goes into some of the not so fun things. But I wanted to at least read a rondelay, because who can read a rondelay on a stage? I know someone who reads sonnets. His name is Scott, and so he calls it sonnets instead of sonnets. He reads sonnets on stage, and he does an amazing job. That's not something I'm great at, so I leave the poetic forms into the book, but I still enjoy them. So the last poem for you today is coming from my book, 2X Chromosomes with an Extra Shot of Melanin. And let's see what I chose. Morning Greeting. So I think I chose this one because I have a friend going through it, and I've been trying to talk to him about it, just to try to check up on him and let him know he's okay, he's loved, he's appreciated, that we need him to stay, and that whatever he's going through may be momentary. I have a different poem in here. I have two different poems in here that sort of talk about that battle as well, from the side of wanting to not be here and from the angle of I'm glad I stayed. But that's not always so easy to choose. And so I acknowledge it sometimes. It's more complicated than just like, no, be happy, you're here, stay. That's not how it goes. But just that, like, even moments can be momentary. You can find a moment after the next moment. So anyway, I'm telling you way too much before I read the poem. Morning Greeting. Each morning, dread seductively greets me, draped and silky reminders of pressure, doubt, condescension, and highly low expectations. And whether I want it in my personal space or not, it claims me as its own, embraces me in ways that pins me to my bed and whispers reminders of all I hate and do not wish to engage in. Dread distracts my eager brain until it slows and spins in anxious panic, stealing all confidence in my planned productivity. I cannot fail, though expected to. My heart races at the thought of succumbing to the gray weight of this lover, dread. But then I roll it off of me and onto its side, realizing dread was only a mental rehearsal. And now I am ready for the performance. I passionately kiss my partner farewell and address the day. Nothing else faced is nearly as bad as our morning ritual. So the story behind that, it's just like sometimes it's hard. You know, there was a video about 2 years ago about calling in black. You should find it. It's on YouTube somewhere, where a girl's like, I'm calling in black today because there's too much other things going on in this world. And so I'm going to take this moment and just call in and not go to work, not function, because it's a lot. It's a lot. The things that people of color and women of color are forced to address and deal with every day and smile through. Like, there's a poem I almost read today about Troy Davis, and that was like I mean, look him up if you don't know him, but when he was executed, I was devastated. I was at the protest that day, at the rally before the protest, before the marching protest. I was at the rally and I was crying with strangers, begging, hoping, praying that they wouldn't really come through. They wouldn't follow through on his sentence of death. And then he was killed. And the next day it was like nothing happened. And I had to go to work the next day like nothing happened, because no matter how much I was dedicated and pulled into that discussion, it didn't matter to anybody else. It wasn't a thing. And so it wasn't personal. It wasn't an example of what your future could be. And that's what all these things are. And that's the reason why Kaepernick did what he did, right? Because we all know that we are our brother's keeper, whether we want to be or not. We are. Society has not made it so that we just get to be. And so when we are in a minority space, we're carrying a lot. We're trying to live up to our own expectations. We're trying to do our own work. And we also know that anything we do impacts everyone else. It impacts my brothers. It impacts my sisters. Because anything I do that makes them think they're all the same. So that said, sometimes just getting up and going to work or getting up and showering is hard. Sometimes it's just too much and the burden is tough. But we also can try to repurpose that, to acknowledge it, to feel it, to have its moment, to let it have its moment. And then when that moment is over, we go to the next moment. And I'm not saying that that's the cure-all for all issues. Please don't think that that's my stance. But sometimes we have to just honor it for that moment in which it is, and then try to go on to the next moment. So even when I wake up and I don't want to work today and I don't want to do this, I mentally play the game in my head about how horrible it is and I should go in and I should stay home and relax and take care of myself and blah, blah. And then I go, okay, I got some plans to do later today, so I gotta go to work. And maybe work won't be so bad because, you know, I get some stuff done and I'll focus on what I need to. And that's what, and then you push yourself through and continue. But that morning, every morning is hard when you're carrying all of that weight of the world. So, 2 X chromosomes with an extra shot of melanin, Casualty of Love, Black Man, Black Woman, Black Child. My 3 books. Maybe I'll read something from the book I'm in an anthology in too. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's reading. And just that you keep sticking with me. Oh, on a totally different note. And then I will not make announcements that are time sensitive on these videos, just so that it lasts whenever. But I've been counting where and how far my books have gone. And as of today, there are 23 states in which my books reside on the shelves of, and 6 countries. So if you, and as of today, I mean September 12th, 2019. So if you want to help me in this endeavor, please go, especially if you're in the Midwest, because I don't have a lot of books in the Midwest. Please, pick up a book, check out your girl, support her work, spread the word, buy a gift for somebody else who's in one of those states. Holiday seasons are coming up soon. I hate the idea that I even said that, but it is. And so give the gift of literature to a friend. Either way, thank you so much for rocking with me. I am Dara Kalima, your community poet, and that's some conversation with me and some backstory into the book. See you next time.